green state Karnataka has made a significant recovery in the power sector. The energy consumption in the state had gone down the COVID period last year, 2020. This year, the bounce back has been quite good. The state is recording peak flows touching 14,500 to 15,000 megawatts. In the next fireside chat, Karnataka Additional Chief Secretary Kapil Mohan will highlight power scenario in Karnataka. I would like to invite T. Radhakrishna, Editor South ET Government, to moderate this fireside chat.
Hi, I welcome our guest Senior IAS Officer, Mr. Kapil Mohan, to ET Government. Mr. Kapil Mohan is a 1990 batch IAS officer of Karnataka cadre. Over a span of 3 decades, Mr. Mohan has garnered profound experience of working at top levels of various government organizations. He is currently Additional Chief Secretary of Department of Energy in Government of Karnataka and Chairman of Bangalore Electricity Supply Company Limited, Hubli Electricity Supply Company Limited, Chamundeshwari Electricity Supply Corporation Limited, and Power Company of Karnataka Limited. He also holds the concurrent charge as a Principal Secretary for Ports, Infrastructure, and Inland Water Transport. Prior to this, in the past, he served in the Ministry of Power for the Government of India, during which he implemented restructured accelerated power development and reforms program, and also Rajiv Gandhi Gramin Vidyutikaran Yojana. Back in Karnataka, Mr. Kapil Mohan successfully built 2 new airports in Kalaburgi and Bidar. He is also leading the construction of 3 new airports in Bijapur, Shimoga, and Karwar. The prestigious Bangalore Suburban Railway project, which is currently being planned and soon be executed under his leadership. Sir, I once again welcome you to the show. Sir, my first question to you, how do you describe the fiscal 2020 and 21 for your esteemed department and organizations in terms of growth and challenges you have faced?
Well, energy is a very key ingredient to economic development. So our saying something which is intuitively clear, but we have not spent enough thought on that. And if you see, the per capita consumption of electricity is positively correlated with growth in the GDP and also per capita income up to a certain level.
Okay.
In my opinion, as a country, we in India suffer from energy poverty. And since you mentioned a very old assignment of mine, where I was director for Rajiv Gandhi Gramin Vidyutikaran Yojana, the whole point at that time was to improve the access of energy to hitherto sections of Indian society and wide swaths of India who did not have access to energy.
Okay.
Even now, after those initiatives, the per capita consumption of electricity in India is pretty low. And in a side, in my opinion, our focus should be towards improving the access to electricity further. And we should focus towards energy efficiency as opposed to energy conservation.
Okay.
I'm making a slightly provocative statement, but if one thinks through, I think the logic will be clear. Coming to the state of Karnataka, we have had a significant recovery. Obviously, the energy consumption in the state had gone down in the COVID period the last year. This year, the bounce back has been quite good, and we are recording record peak loads. So we're almost touching 14,500, 15,000 megawatts. It's a bit of an understatement because we have a large captive as well as third-party sales which are not accounted for. This 15,000 megawatts, which I am saying. So that you take into account should be around 17,000-18,000 megawatts, which is quite good megawatt hour at the peak. As far as the state of Karnataka is concerned, it is we are the greenest state. We in fact are more green than most of the developed countries in the world. Our percentage of renewables and hydro is as high as 60% of the installed capacity. On the generation side, it has touched a peak of 50% almost, 40 to 50%. So we are quite proud that our grid, we have invested in that over a period of time, which is able to absorb such amount of informed renewable power. And that has taken some investments and effort on part of the state government. We are, in a sense, power surplus at certain times of the day. The variable renewable energy, the variability in the renewable energy gives us some problems at present. So we have surplus at times and we have deficit during the peak. But if you see the gross figures, we can say Karnataka would be in the surplus side. And then of course, there would be some local problems in supply, which would be more on account of inadequate distribution and transmission infrastructure in that particular area. Now, some may be distressed, some may be far-flung, things like that, which is always an ongoing process. Our trajectory also is towards promotion of renewables, furthermore promotion of renewables. So progressively we will get more greener. But along with the problem of variable renewable energy, component will be there. So this would require certain responses from them. From us, sorry, not them, from us. We have 2 or 3 strategies which I would like to highlight. One is demand side management. So we take proactive steps to shift loads to match with our renewable generation. Of course, there are certain limitations to that. And some renewable like wind are very difficult to predict. So that's one. But there's one response which we are also trying out on trial basis in Bangalore and then progressively hopefully later on to do active demand side management as a tool to tackle the variable nature of the renewable energy. The second one is to use intermediate to convert renewable energy into home power.
Okay.
So the popular options in which we are both working upon.
Yes, sir.
One is, of course, the battery. And the second is pumped storage. And as far as batteries are concerned, the scale of batteries and the technology available to that is fast changing. So to take very substantive decisions for battery is a bit of a challenge for us. And then for pumped water storage, we are proposing a couple of projects in the state, and we have identified locations.
Okay.
And we would be doing both in the public and private sectors. The third set of measures are to modify our thermal generation, baseload generation, active ramp up and ramp down. Also, invest more into our sub-transmission grid to make it more reactive to changing nature of the renewable energy inputting. Also promote some other related developments which help us in grid management, like electrical vehicle promotion. They also have battery storage, right? And some other few relatively minor as of now, but the future technology, they may be come up measures. So with this suite of measures, we hope to match our load curves and our, which represents our demand and our supply match perfectly.
Okay, okay.
And meanwhile, our renewable energy, right towards more renewable energy in our energy mix goes on.
Thank you, sir. My second question, the demand, population growth, and increased of work from home, study from home leads to an exponential increase in electricity usage. How are you managing the growth and the demand?
The start of the financial year for the electricity business was not very good because of the lockdowns, problems of migratory labor, COVID restrictions, slowing of the economy, all impacted adversely on the whole chain of the electricity sector.
Okay.
Generation, consequently transmission, then of course distribution, because that is directly related to the consumer.
Okay.
So the pain was felt everywhere. In the last quarter, we have made significant recovery. It is not enough to recoup the losses. There was severe liquidity crunch faced by the power sector. And to some extent, there was a liquidity package announced by Government of India, which was to help the generation companies to recover their dues from the straitjacketed, financially straitjacketed distribution companies. So we took that. But the distribution companies themselves, because of the slowing of the demand and the nature of power contracts being rigid in nature, had to take a substantial hit. And needless to say, the stress in the distribution component of the power sector chain still persists. We have not had any packages or relief for the distribution component. So this COVID has dealt a blow to the financial positions of the distribution companies. Their indebtedness have increased. Their liquidity positions consequently has deteriorated, and the balance sheets are not very good for the current year.
So what are the challenges that you foresee, sir, and how do you want to address them?
Our challenge in the time to come would be on the distribution side to make the distribution business viable. There are many reasons for that. Some are inadequate composition of subsidy for irrigation pump sets, and other subsidized categories, non-payment of dues by the departments or the collection efficiency. In some sections of the distribution companies, the losses level are quite high. I mean, for Karnataka, if I may say, the power purchase cost of the component of the average cost of supply is as high as 83-84%. So coming to the second point, one of the major things, challenges which all power sector, including my state, Karnataka will face is the relatively high cost of power. And this is a challenge which has to be met with a very concerted response from various governments and the agencies. The legacy contracts of thermal, where we have already made investments for base load or nuclear, have to be honored while we promote the renewable. So it is not one-to-one substitution as people think. I cannot substitute thermal with renewable today. I have to pay for the legacy contracts. And also I have to pay for the renewable energy. Hence, the benefits of decrease in cost of generation of power by the renewables, which we are witnessing today, is not being passed on to the consumer because of the legacy power contracts.
Okay, okay.
So consequently, our cost of power is quite high. And this issue needs to be tackled. It's not that this issue has not come to fore in other countries, particularly European countries or west coast of USA, who have also embarked on large integration of renewables in their grids. But our response till now has not been formulated. This also not only increases the cost of power, but also leads to high cost of the inputs in the economy and also reduces equitable access to the energy. It's, I think, a very fundamental and core issue on which light has to fall. The third challenge for us is to increase the integration of renewables, change our energy mix to the green, while maintaining the grid stability, meeting the demand or load curves, and also to deal with related investments. So to make variable renewable power into firm power, I need to invest in pumped storage or batteries. That cost is also there. Right? I have to invest into the grids to be able to accept this incursion of high amount of renewables at given time. And shadow cost of doing away with legacy investments in thermal sector. So these are the three, four challenges which I have identified. There are a few more, but I think these are the ones which are to be highlighted.
Thank you. Sir, technology has become an integral part of the central government, state governments for all their day-to-day functions and mandates. What has been your experience in using technology in your organization?
I had mentioned energy efficiency in context of the total economy, a thing which is very desirable and makes us more competitive vis-a-vis other countries and other economies. But it's specifically towards improving efficiency in operations during the distribution sector. I mean, if you break this efficiency traditionally, it has two main components. Okay, so one is what you call technical, efficiency or technical losses, either way, and the other one is collection efficiency. I mean, the bills which you raise and how much you collect. So coming to the collection efficiency, the real challenge, at least in Karnataka, I mean, I don't know about other states. I'm out of touch, can't mention this. But in fact, we have a very high level of collection efficiency on the consumers. But our bane has been to collect our dues from the departments, state governments, and other subsidized sectors. We are not able to collect what is the rightful due, and that makes our collection efficiency figures a bit sorry. We can improve upon it, make it more targeted by entering into measures like prepaid meters in the agricultural sector, which would be a bit contentious issue given the history about the sector, but it will obviate the need of subsidy not meeting the actual expenditure and so on. Same holds true for government departments. But the practicability of that, considering the socio-economic reality, has to be kept in mind. If you make them smart meters, it makes more sense by reducing our cost of collection, and also enables other stuff like time of the day metering and so on and so forth, which can help us in to bring efficiency in the distribution sector by way of matching load and supply curves and so on. As far as technical efficiency is concerned, these are very high investment requirements, and generally in India we have problems of stressed substations. We have to improve our transformative capacity, move our system to higher voltage, HT-LT ratio we call it, and we have to improve this. Very capital intensive, but it has the dual benefit of improving our reliability of supply, reducing the possibility of theft, and of course reducing the technical losses or improving the technical efficiency. The cost curve of this is rather steep after a certain level, and it's an ongoing process. And for a country like ours, the grid is constantly evolving. Newer consumers are entering. Load transmitted is increasing. We gain newer peaks every month. So this investment is an ongoing process for improvement of the technical efficiency. So these measures for improving efficiency, A, would be more in nature of our policy by the state and all, which impacts upon the collection side, and on the electrical grid investments on electrical infrastructure on the technical side. Both put together would improve the efficiency of operations of the energy sector, particularly the distribution component of the energy sector. We generally highlight the distribution component because that is where the revenue stream is. So that.
Sir, many state governments are attempting to provide 24/7 electricity supply in their states. In the past, few states also made an attempt, but they are not successful. What is your observation on this?
There could be many reasons, Radhakrishna ji. One could be non-availability of power at those given moments of time. B could be technical constraint in the grid to supply this power. To give an example, that there could be congestions in the substations, and also we feel that the grid is an integrated whole, but it is not so. So suppose we have, like, in some areas we have more power, in some areas we have less power, it will flow. Doesn't happen that easily, like there are congestions and all those things. So that requires significant amount of investments. And lastly, would be the variable nature of the power, as which I explained to you earlier. Sometimes it could be in surplus, sometimes it could be in short, because we also are parallelly moving towards a green energy mix.
Okay.
So as far as Karnataka is concerned, we generally have done feeder separation, and where we have done feeder separation, we are supplying power for a number of hours rather successfully. On feeders which have got irrigation pump sets as well as, say, housing load, it is obviously not very remunerative to supply power for longer periods of time, because it can lead to loss and wastage of power and water. Both are inextricably linked. The other problem for us is that we have surplus energy at times, and at peak we have some deficit. So at that time, we do some load shifting here and there. So in that process, we may not be able to supply 24 hours power. But largely as a state, we are supplying power post feeder separation, feeder segregation between irrigation pump sets and other loads 24 hours. Very reasonably successful on that, barring some pockets of distribution network which could be very tight. So there has been a massive investment in feeder segregation over the years. And now I think this supply of 24 hours electricity, as far as Karnataka is, or to our household sector, and other sectors, has been solved to a large extent.
Government of India proposed privatization of state power discoms. How do you see this implementation taking place, sir?
Well, strictly speaking, the proposal is not about privatization of state power distribution companies. It is that we can have private sector distribution licensees getting permission to operate in specific areas subject to certain conditions. So, strictly speaking, it will not be privatization, in my opinion. But if we see the continuous process of the original Electricity Act 2003, where they talked about separation of content and carriage, or separation of electrons and wires, it's just going along that line. So induction of distribution licenses in selected areas is a further step in that long-term strategy, which were envisaged in the Electricity Act. This measure, as a state government, we would say is overall acceptable, but we have to be very careful in implementation of these. The reason being, there should not be any cherry picking. Needless to say, there are portions of electricity business which are very attractive, some which are not. The cost of service is not the same. And our pricing policies are such that our electricity rates are not the same as cost of service. Cost of service would be average cost of supply plus other cost of variable nature and things like that. We do not have. We in fact have an inverse policy, whereas we subsidize cheaper consumers, certain segments of the economy, and then we have some cross subsidization and so on and so forth. So the pricing policy in the electricity sector is not very straightforward. It serves many objectives, and which are good. I mean, which are good for the society and the economy, but it's not a simple solution. What I'm just trying to say is that this indexation will have to be very carefully done to ensure that there is no cherry picking, to see that these policies, which are in the purview of elected governments, are also given due recognition. With that, the distribution licenses, they can enter and they can work, and properly implemented, it can result in improved efficiency, more improved efficiency and improved service. But given the nature and complexity of the pricing, operations, consumer mixes, it should be done with great due care.
Sir, I just need your views. Government of India's disinvestment plan, the journey will reach state governments also in terms of state public sector undertakings? How do you see? Just observation, your views.
I think from disinvestment plans, you mean monetization.
Absolutely.
And I can only talk about the power sector.
Please.
Yeah, the state government will take a look at it. As of now. Distribution licensing, distribution sector itself is a great change, but monetizing of certain assets has been even talked about, transmission corridors and things like that, which would be there. So we'll have to segregate such sections which could be monetizable in the power value chain, and then take a call on whether to do it or not. So, but to be very frank, it's early days and we haven't done great thoughts on segregating and identification of such assets as of now. But yes, it's a Government of India directive, and we will be looking at it very closely with a view to improve the efficiencies in operation and also to raise resources which we can utilize to further improve the access to the electricity. Yeah, that will.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen, for the engaging chat session. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to remind you about the leaderboard feature for earning points throughout the event. At the end of the event, you will win attractive gifts on the basis of the points earned. Enjoy the event and try to collect the maximum points. Stay tuned.